My name is Shelley Novotny, and I am honored to serve as celebrant for this time of sharing as we remember the life of Gary Smith. Today, as we reflect on Gary's life, we remember the family and friends closest to Gary as they navigate through this time of loss. Gary is survived by his wife Diane, their children Emily Smith and Sam Smith, his sisters Lori Schmitz and Sarah Smith, and his nephews Dan Schmitz and Mike Schmitz. How lucky am I to have something that makes saying goodbye so hard? Diane shared this quote by Winnie the Pooh author A.A. Milne as a theme for our time together today. How beautiful is that? Goodbyes are not always easy, but today we celebrate the gifts that Gary brought to this world. In doing so, we can light the pathway for healing to begin. If you have a treasured memory of a time with Gary, there will be a time for you to share those later, and we will welcome people up to the podium to share their memories. But first, we are going to transport you to a place that was very special to Gary. YMCA Camp Warren, near Eveleth, Minnesota. Picture the campers gathered round and singing about their beloved Camp Warren. Please sing along if you know the tune.
I want to hide away out beside Camp Warren Trail. Moonlight as bright as day out beside Camp Warren Trail. There's where I'll settle down in peace, where all is fine. In a little hut just built for 9, tucked away in the heart of the pine. There's where all friends are true in the good old summertime. There's where all skies are blue and all nature is in rhyme. My pals are waiting, they're pals that never fail, waiting patiently to welcome me out beside Camp Warren Trail.
We can end there. I have to warn you, I downloaded that song. It's a fundraiser for Camp Warren, so it's a very catchy tune, and I've been singing it for the past week. I didn't want to take over on the mic. I could have just turned the mic off, but it was quite fun. Camp Warren was a special place to Gary. There, he was both a camper and a counselor. Camp Warren's mission is to empower young people to be their best through transformative, character-building experiences in nature, while fostering lifelong friendships, leadership, and a sense of community. In many respects, This matches Gary's life. Transformative character building experiences in nature. Gary loved nature since his early years. Adopted by his parents, Clark and Jean, when he was 15 months old, he lived on Bald Eagle Avenue and then the north end of the lake before moving with his family to North Oaks. His sister Lori, who was Gary's Christmas present when he was 3, remembers her brother being outside all of the time. He had a turtle farm, a butterfly collection. He loved to swim and sail. He loved frogging, and then he sold them. He loved fishing. Gary followed in the footsteps of his father, and after being a camper at Camp Warren, he became a counselor. He knew the boundary waters like the back of his hand, and throughout his life, he shared that knowledge. He organized canoe trips to the area, taught people how to cook in nature, and most importantly, taught the all-important lesson of what to do if your canoe tips over. Community. Gary was skilled at connecting with people, but I bet you all know that. He worked for the family foundry and later used his people and leadership skills to start a company serving as a sales rep for the Smith Foundry and other foundries in 13 states. Having a strong sense of community was a lifelong trait for Gary. Married in 1988, correct? Gary and Diane had 2 children, Emily and Sam. Whether it was hosting people at their home or hanging out with friends at the local 617 lounge, Gary was the last person at the party. He so enjoyed the sense of community. Perhaps most visible to others, encompassing both those character-building nature experiences and sense of community, was Gary's positive outlook on life. For Gary, the glass was half full, and he looked at the bright side of things. His taste in music reflected that. Since high school, Gary was involved in band. He played the piano, and in later years, I think I got this correct, he played with the house band at the 617 lounge. No, didn't get that. I got that wrong, sorry. Plato, the ancient Greek philosopher, said, "Music gives a soul to the universe, wings to the mind, flight to the imagination, and life to everything." It is no surprise then that one of Gary's favorite musicians was Scott Joplin, king of ragtime. The happy tunes and toe-tapping melodies of songs like The Entertainer and the Maple Leaf Rag reflected Gary's positive outlook on life. Despite his zest for life, life wasn't always so easy for Gary. He had several medical conditions that impacted his health, and in 2009 and 2014, he suffered strokes. In 2021, he moved into assisted living in River Falls, Wisconsin. Gary lived there until his peaceful passing on June 30th. While physical challenges may have affected Gary's journey here on earth, his zest for life, his love of nature, and the joy he experienced with being in community with others endure on in the memories of his family and friends. At this time, we welcome you to share a memory of Gary. Please come up to the podium so you are able to use the microphone, and so those joining us virtually can hear you as well. Real informal time of sharing, but we do ask that you come up to the microphone. please say your name. This gentleman wore a name tag. And
the only one. So I've known Gary since 1963. It's a long time ago. And I grew up in North Oaks on the same lake Gary did. And then he moved to Grant, and I bought a house 2 doors down from him. So you saw a lot of me. Gary, I don't know how to say this, but Gary, he liked to embellish stories. Storytelling was his thing, and he embellished stories like nobody else could. I thought he would have made a great politician. So one of the stories was I was living in Grant before I bought the house on Ironwood where he lived. And I'm talking to him, he calls me up, we're chatting along, and I said, "Hey, Gary, what have you been doing?" He says, "I was out fishing in my lake." I said, "Oh, yeah? Well, how'd you do?" And he says, "Oh, I think I caught 50, 60 bass, 4 or 5 pounds each." And I thought, really? You can't even do that in Colombia. I mean, there's people that travel to New Zealand and can't do that. I said, "Okay, that sounds pretty good." And I thought, well, with Gary, to me, it was the rule of 1/3. So you take what he said and you divide it by 3, and that's pretty close to what really happened. He caught 20 fish, a pound and a half. He says, "No, come on over." And he said it in a matter-of-fact delivery, so he wasn't joking about it. So I go to his house, we get the canoe, go out on the lake, and he's got this big cooler, and in the cooler is ice, Coke, and rum. I thought, well, dang, now I know why he thought he caught 60 fish. So we fished and had a good time and came back and figured that we caught probably 60 bass, 4 or 5 pounds each. The son of a gun was telling the truth. And I thought, that's the thing about Gary. Every once in a while he'd have a story so fantastic, but somebody would validate it. And I thought, this is what, usually you can tell people are pulling your leg, like I am now. With Gary, there was always a little bit of truth to his stories that made you wonder how much is really true. And I always thought, nobody could tell a story like Gary. And the last thought I had was like, St. Peter has his hands full right now. So I have other Gary stories, but I think I'll stop with that one.
anyone else?
Sure. Anybody doesn't know me, I'm Terry. Do you need a last name?
Terry Thompson. Oh, it's Terry.
Bingo. All right. I think I met Gary when I was about 10. And that was when, Lori, where are you? Right there. Good heavens. That was when your folks bought that Kornbacher house in North Oaks. Thank Gene and Clark for that. Kornbacher kids were the terror of the neighborhood, let me tell you. Saved me a lot of trouble. And over the years, Gary and I became close friends, and that lasted quite a long time, many decades. So I think with that, I'm qualified to state the obvious. Gary was unique. That's it. You want more? Not funny stories. Excuse me. Gary had an exuberance for life. More than anybody I know, he was going to have fun with his life. And if you tagged along with him and you didn't get too caught up in it, you'd have a lot of fun too. Thank you for that, Gary. But his uniqueness, that's the thing everybody saw about Gary. I discovered in there at times, Gary had another side that wasn't on the surface. And he had a quality that I admire in people almost more than any other quality. And like everybody, Gary went through tough times in life. He had his difficulties, he had bad situations, things happen here, there, whatever. We all go through them. I heard Gary express on occasion going through these things his disappointment in the situation or things like that, but I never once heard the guy criticize anybody, ever. Never said a bad word about anybody, no matter what was going on. He always gave people their benefit and their respect. And so I'm not going to tell funny stories. What I'm here to say is about Gary. When I go home tonight, I'm going to have a toast to Gary in his reticence, and I'll say dignity with other people, the quiet side that nobody ever really saw. You know what I'm talking about. And his exuberance. I'm going to toast a life well lived on those two counts. And I'm going to think about that, and we could all live so well. Right now, here's to Gary Smith. Thank you.
Please feel free.
I'm another neighborhood guy. Forey Johnson's my name. And I'm going to get back to nature here. You know, he liked nature. Well, he introduced us, a number of us younger White Bear guys, to the nudie hole on the Lester River. And Gary was, at that time, you know, we're all swimming around. And Gary decided, the heck with rod and reel, catching fish. He's got a spear gun. So there we are, all nude in the pool, swimming around. He's there with his flippers on and this spear gun. There was like one rainbow in the pool. And we were all trying to help him. It's over there. It's over there. And pretty soon he's just tuned in on this fish. And we're like going, Gary, watch out with this thing. These things are shooting over this way, over that way. It was kind of interesting. But that's, I just wanted to say, as a young kid, we'd end up in Duluth, up at the house, west end, up on the hillside, and go. I just always wanted to, let's go to the nudie hole. And like I say, Gary with that spear gun, I'll never forget that one.
Did you get the fish?
No. Although he did, he was going to be smarter than the other fishermen, go down below where the steelhead come into the river, and again, the heck with it. I'm not rod and reel. I'm going with my spear gun. And there were people going, who's this guy? What's going on here? And we were just like, I don't know him. I don't really, well, it's Gary, but anyway, I just wanted to, that one came to mind as I was driving down here from Knife River, and I just remember him with that spear gun. Everybody, watch out for Gary. He wants that fish. So anyway, thanks.
Anyone else? Okay.
I'm Warren Slocum. Gary and I had the same birthday. Same year. Yeah, every year it was the same day. That's how it is with birthdays. But back in the day, we used to play rock and roll music, and there was a lot of room in the basement over on 20 Duck Pass Road. And Gary had this little, it was a Montgomery Ward's keyboard, right? And it would fold up into a suitcase. And he weren't up here, he was down there, but he sure made it play good, you know. He didn't come up short on that. and there was no way to plug it into anything. It had its own speaker, its own little amp. So we used to put a microphone down by the speaker, and we ran it through my dad's PA system, because my dad had for calling square dances, and we had a lot of fun doing that. And we'd play here and there, and sometimes in public.
Mostly in the basement.
Well, no, we'd be out there. There was a music.
You were up at that shopping center.
Yeah,
By Duffy's record store.
I'll tell you. Yeah. Well, yeah, because that had a name back then.
There was Battle of the Bands.
Oh, yeah, in school. Yeah. Well, because Andy Howe was with us for a while. And then he says, I'm out of here. So I'm going, no, I wanted to play rhythm. I don't want to do lead. What is this? But we'd all sing. And, we'd do harmony, because why not? That's what you do. We have some fun. And he was good at, like people have said, he was good at having fun, And I would maintain a little bit of contact with him later, when we weren't ever grown-ups, but we did get old. And he showed me around the foundry. That's no longer there. I mean, that foundry, holy cow. And then they had a sheet metal place in Princeton, all part of Smith's system, right? And Grandpa had started it, and Gary was at the foundry, and he gave me a tour one time. And, he's the guy. His last name is Smith. Come on, this is Smith's foundry. Come on. So, but he took me back to gray metal casting, right? Cast iron, in sand. Come on. And there was so much flame. It was like Hades. It was incredible. And these guys were like, oh yeah, there's a fucking boss again. Well, okay. And I met other people that worked there, for the company in later years. And it got so bad, I think the place is gone now, because there's a limit to how much you can put in the air. And they kept trying to make it clean enough air inside. So they had so many fans going, you couldn't even open the door. There was so much suction. But they kept it going, by golly. And the neighborhood, I guess that'd probably Phillips neighborhood. I got respect for him, I was over there, well, a little south of there. I was over at Powderhorn Park for the art fair this last weekend. And Phillips neighborhood was where the old South High was, 24th and Cedar. And I did my student teaching there and at the new South High, both of them, farther south. And that's Little Earth now. That's the native community. And so right around where the foundry was, there's, they've given some of the land back to the tribes. And there's some opioid counseling, and people are, they're not perfect, but they're doing pretty well. They're not giving up, and that's what Gary was. He wasn't perfect, but he wasn't giving up.
Thanks, Boyd.
Thank you all for those stories. Stories are what keeps us going, We remember, we reflect, and we move on. I think it's really important, especially to share with family here today, for Gary's family. If you didn't get a chance to share, please tell them, how important Gary was to you and why you're here, as they move on from today and life without Gary. We'll end with just 2 verses of our Camp Warren song. I want you to close your eyes picture Gary. We'll go back out to nature and see Gary in a place where he felt comfortable, and picture him how you knew him, and reflect on a life well lived. And then we'll dismiss.
I want to hide away out beside Camp Warren Trail. Moonlight as bright as day out beside Camp Warren Trail. There's where I'll settle down in peace, where all is fine. In a little hut just built for 9, tucked away in the heart of the pine. There's where all friends are true in the good old summertime. There's where all skies are blue and all nature is in rhyme. My pals are waiting, they're pals that never fail, waiting patiently to welcome me out beside Camp Warren Trail.